beautiful.
Oh,
Mwah.
Friday through
Mwah.
Monday, NFL football on the slate.
Yes. We start off with some Christmas magic. The Vikings versus the Saints. Now, this is down in New Orleans, so we aren't going to necessarily get the Minnesota Miracle in Minnesota. I mean, this game could still have all that animosity and history that we have seen in recent years between these two teams. But that should be a very interesting game down in New Orleans, as Drew Brees is most likely going to make his second straight start after breaking multiple ribs and being out for a few weeks. I think Drew Brees' game's time decision last week honestly hurt the Saints a little bit. I think there was a lot of preparation of Taysom Hill probably starting that week still. Drew Brees had practiced, but I don't know how much the expectations were that he was actually going to play in that game. Now that he did play last week, he looked a little rusty. I don't expect him to look like that 2 weeks in a row, so I think that Drew Brees would probably bounce back from that rather well this week. However, like most of this season, he does not have Michael Thomas, who the Saints announced is not going to be back until at least the playoffs.
I know, that was a big announcement. But I do think the Saints at home, 6.5. I think they can win this one by 7, Higgins. I like where your head's at.
They're playing for a lot, too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing for first-round buys. They're still playing for the NFC South, potentially. New Orleans Saints are currently sitting with that number 2 seed. They're a game behind Green Bay. However, they have the same exact record as Seattle. So New Orleans needs to win every game because Seattle's going to try to do the exact same, obviously. And they only edge them out right now because they hold the tiebreaker of best win percentage within conference games right now. New Orleans needs every single win they can. Minnesota's fighting for their life right now. They're on the outside looking in at the wild card spot, but I really don't think that the Vikings are going to get there this year. So like you hinted at, I'm going to be on New Orleans minus 6.5, even though it's at minus 115 instead of minus 110.
No, I think that makes sense. I think they're the team that's going to be a little bit hungrier in this spot.
And then, Brett, before I talk about my Saturday pick, I'm going to talk about this special Oregon odds boost that I saw. I don't know who these two are that are giving out these odds boost, but hey, Suki, I like your 3-team parlay. You have Miami minus 2.5, Buffalo minus 6.5, and the Rams plus 2.5 at plus 650. This was plus 600 odds originally, boosted to plus 650, and I think it's great because honestly, I'm going to be on Miami minus 3 individually on Saturday. So Miami against the Raiders, who have absolutely collapsed. The Raiders have played terribly. They have not been able to cover recently. They're 1-4 covering the spread in their past 5 games. They're 1-4 winning outright in their past 5 games. Different games, by the way. The one that they covered and the one that they won.
Yeah, they did
different
not
games.
cover against the Jets, I know.
The Raiders, they've just completely collapsed. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, they've been one of the best teams in the league this year against the spread so far. So I don't really see why I wouldn't pick the team that's 10-3 against the spread compared to the team that's 7-7 in real life and 7-7 against the spread. So Miami minus 3, and then I like that you're getting a little bit of a boost with the half point and the odds boost in that parlay. So Miami minus 2.5, Buffalo minus 6.5, and Rams plus 2.5 is what that 3-team parlay is again.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on this one too, Higgins. The Dolphins were very impressive last week against the Patriots. I was on New England. I thought, oh, I'll take Belichick against his former assistant, a lefty, a rookie. It didn't matter. The Dolphins just keep on winning. Now they go to Vegas on the day after Christmas, so it probably won't matter. They'll probably just take care of business and keep on rolling.
What do you think of these other 2 Saturday games? I mean, we have the Bucks against the Lions. Bucks are nearly 10-point favorites in this one. And then the Niners against the Cardinals, where the Cardinals are 5-point favorites. Bucks are sitting in the 6th spot right now in the NFC playoff standings. And the Rams have a spot, and the Cardinals are on the outside looking in. So lots of playoff movement that could happen from those 2 games on Saturday.
Yeah, I really didn't like any of these lines on Saturday, Higgins. They were all just I don't know. They all felt a little off to me, and when they do that, I'm like, "Oh, I don't really want to bet that game because I would have had Tampa Bay closer to 2 touchdowns. So like looking at 9.5, I'm thinking, oh, they think it's going to be closer than I do. So I'll stay away from that. And then the San Francisco Arizona one, I think it's going to be closer than they do. So I'm leaning San Francisco, and I'm like, I can't bet San Francisco when we don't even know if Josh Rosen might be starting at quarterback. Like, there's so much uncertainty there. So then I'm like, I want to bet Arizona, but then we see the comments about DeAndre Hopkins had a rant at practice and he had to defend his practice habits, and I'm like, I just want no part of that game.
Well, you just mentioned Josh Rosen might start for the 49ers. If he does, to me, that sounds like a perfect reason to bet San
A
Francisco. That's a
revenge game.
revenge game right there. You're playing against the quarterback that they traded you away for. Cliff Kingsbury came in and said, "No, we don't want you, Josh Rosen." And then you went to Miami and you've had to become a journeyman. If Josh Rosen gets that start, I might go 49ers money line, to be honest, because that sounds exactly like the any given Sunday personal reasons to play for, playoff implications, spoilers to play for, in division game. It just has all the makings for something very interesting. But I agree, both of those lines, something smells a little iffy for them, so I stayed away from those ones right now. But Sunday has some interesting games, and I had to refrain from picking too many right now. I'll probably give out some picks on our social media at NBB Pod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'll probably give out some day games on Sunday, depending on how I did with all my other bets up until Sunday. But there's some interesting games, and there's a lot of playoff movement, a lot of teams playing for nothing, a lot of teams playing for something. So that's where money gets made.
Yeah, definitely. And one team that absolutely needs to get right, Higgins, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I guess they come home, so that's a good thing, but they get to face the Indianapolis Colts, who are pretty pissed off that DeForest Buckner didn't make a Pro Bowl this year. Um, I like Pittsburgh in this one. I think they bounce back. I think this is the perfect spot to bounce back. Everyone's down on you. You lost a nationally televised game on the road to Cincinnati, where honestly, you probably had most of the fans in the stands anyway. So people are down on Pittsburgh. They're 0-3 in their last three, but they've won 11 games, Higgins. I think they can win a 12th. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. So at home versus Indianapolis, plus 105 on the money line. That's good enough value for me. And something that's a pretty close line could get bet down to a pick 'em by game day.
Now, I'm kind of on the other side of this, Brett, because there's a lot that's going on with Pittsburgh after losing three straight. I mean, Juju's no longer allowed to dance on the logo at midfield, which is something he's done all season. It was not a problem for 11 straight games, but all of a sudden you lose three. Superstitions start coming. People change their habits in terms of game day rituals. All this different stuff changes, and you got to buckle down and get a little more serious, a little more refocused. I understand. I kind of agree with having Juju stop the dancing, stop the antics, at least for right now, until you get another win, just to refocus. But also, we haven't talked at all about the Colts really right here, who are tied with the Tennessee Titans right now in the AFC South. And there's a lot to play for right there between who's going to get the 4th seed and who's going to get the 5th or the 6th seed in the AFC wildcard right now. And Tennessee certainly right now holds the tiebreaker over Indianapolis. So can Indianapolis, a team that has earned wins based off of their defense and based off of being able to keep teams from gaining a lot of yards, they've had one of the best defenses in terms of yards allowed all season long. Big Ben has had a lot of issues in these past 3 games. More than the Juju Smith-Schuster not dancing on the logo, Big Ben needs to prove something in this game because he said it the other day, if he doesn't play better, he should retire. Well, he has to show something, to be honest, and right now he hasn't. So I'm leaning towards Indianapolis, and depending on how I do with my bankroll management in these other games with the days leading up, I will probably find myself on the other side of you in this bet, Brett.
That's okay, Higgins. That's okay. I like the bounce back, so that's what I'm betting on here. I think Pittsburgh bounces back. They win their 12th game. That's all I need. I don't need the point and a half, Higgins. I just need a win on on the money line here.
And so I do have one pick for a Sunday game, and I'm actually going to be placing this before Sunday because I think some news that came out on Wednesday has affected this line today. Dwayne Haskins got his team captain status revoked. He got fined $40,000. I don't think he's starting this week, potentially. Um, Washington's only a 2.5 point favorite over the Carolina Panthers. Ron Rivera is the head coach of the Washington football team right now. He just beat cancer and he has the support of that entire locker room right now. I am sure Ron would love to beat the team that he used to coach against, and his teammates would love to deliver that to him as a belated Christmas present. So I think Washington has some more to play for here, especially since Carolina's already been eliminated from playoff contention, especially since Washington's not only playing for playoffs, but playing to win the NFC East. They have a lot to play for right now. I think it's just a tale of two different teams right now, and I think the football team, the Washington football team, is going to win by more than a field goal in this one. So I think that's a pretty fair pick to be making because they just have more to play for.
I'm actually super curious who's going to start for Washington if it's not Haskins. Because when you said that, I was like, who else do they have? Because aren't the other two guys hurt?
Alex Smith's listed as questionable, and Dwayne Haskins Jr. is their backup quarterback right now, with Taylor Helnicki as their third.
Okay. So that's interesting because he was with Rivera also in Carolina, just like Kyle Allen was. So that's interesting. Okay.
Alex Smith was limited at Wednesday's practice, so he at least did get to practice. If he's up to it, as long as his calf is okay,
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why you don't start him over Haskins, who has been dealt some punishments this week.
I'm with you. I don't think Haskins is starting the game. I had no idea Heineke was on the on the roster. I didn't know who else was available.
Yeah. Some other interesting games on Sunday that I think will probably find some of my money on it depending on the bankroll management. I mentioned the Indianapolis, Tennessee, AFC South showdown that's kind of going on in their race for the division title. Tennessee is a 3.5 point underdog against Green Bay. I find that very interesting for that Sunday night game. Aaron Rodgers has played very well, by the way. He is currently sitting behind Patrick Mahomes in terms of MVP odds. Not terrible value considering this is a guy that has thrown just 4 interceptions and over 40 touchdowns this year. Statistically, he has played out of his mind.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it's a 2-horse race, so it's going to come down to those two. You're going to sprinkle a little bit, sprinkle it on the underdog for sure. Um, I'm excited to see Buffalo get back in action after clinching their first division title in 25 years. Obviously, the Patriots were the team that was the most dominant over that 25-year stretch. So it's only right that they get to travel to New England, where their own fan base put up a billboard that they won in some contest about how they're the best fan base in America and the Bills are the division champs. And I don't know, it just smells like a fun Monday Night Football game to me, Higgins.
I think so too. Any other team that had already convinced or clinched their division, I think would have had a much harder time playing against Belichick, but because of the reign that the Patriots had on that AFC East for so long, and because of the torment that the Bills and the Jets and the Dolphins had faced against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, there's an extra little we want to rub this in your face.
It feels
that
good.
You're
It
yes.
feels good. There's someone else on top now. Like, it's finally not them.
And I'm sure Buffalo would love to show it to them on Monday as well. So that is a game that I very much look forward to watching as well.